1972. It was a good 30 years or so after our ancestors played their final cards in the Second World War. Setting aside our differences like true men, the Japanese were onto something that caught FoMoCo's eye. And let me tell you, FoMoCo sure had some FOMO about the mini truck. A young American's dream, a brand new truck that they can afford. This bad boy right here was a sweet, sweet $2,222, brand spanking new right off the lot. Though I will say you're not going to find any trucks like these down at your local Ford dealer anymore. But I digress. Ford made some phone calls to Mazda, and they shared a few bottles, courtesy of Napa Valley. And next thing you know, they're shipping trucks across the Great Pacific and slapping Ford badges on them. Badges so good, they're worth stealing the face right off the hood, apparently. 1972. The Ford Courier is born. But it wasn't for delivering any mail, that's for sure. 4-speed transmission, 4-cylinder engine, 4 14-inch wheels, 4 drum brakes, 4 side markers, 4 front lights, count them 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 3 rear lights. Gotta cut costs somewhere, man. After all, the EPA's gotta save the world from burning to a crisp, and clean air is hella expensive to maintain. 14-inch wheels. 6 lugs. Why Ford? Why 14? Why 6? There's a simple answer here, too, actually. Economics and marketing. Cash is king and money beats soul. Every time. So, you know, maybe you're thinking right now, 6 is more than 5. More surely better, right? Maybe a Spinal Tap methodology applies here. Spinal Tap goes to 11. These go to 6. No. This, not gonna fly. No, not at all. Gotta make some serious changes here. This truck spent its wee years up in the Cascades of the Pacific Northwest. Used to sport a camper up top. Living the American dream. Maybe a couple dead shows in between the cracks. The devil started to get its way through to the core. But don't worry, it's only a scratch. He only still reigns supreme over in the Rust Belt. Mostly. This truck's had its fair share of work done over the years. Some of it better quality than others. But you know, a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do to get the job done and still have a few bucks left for dinner on the table and a few hours rest for the long day ahead. And that leaves a lot of challenges ahead for a young chap like myself. I've gotten it up and running, cruising down the street once again. It's not perfect, but it sure is good enough to get down to the junkyard and start hauling upgrades for itself. After all, if I had any sanity, I wouldn't have bought this piece of junk. But here I am. Gotta reduce, reuse, and recycle somehow. It's the Californian way, right? Let's see your Tesla do this, tech bros! I'm always up for a good adventure, and this truck's bound to have plenty. In fact, it already has. I've broken down. I've made other drivers mad. Jealous over the exhaust. I've smoked out parking lots. And one time, I even drove an entire block before I realized the brakes weren't working, and I turned her around and headed back to Dodge, realizing my big mistake. You live and you learn, kids. Sometimes, you just gotta take a stab at it. With this next-gen swine flu spreading like wildfire, you gotta improvise on exercise these days. No more going to the gym. But that's not too much of a problem. No power brakes. No power steering. No power windows. No power air conditioning. Only got the poor man's AC. Someone looks like they had one too many beers when installing these mirrors, though. It's easy to get a workout and break in a sweat driving this thing around. So here I was, in the midst of the George Floyd riots. I packed my bags in a day and drove across the country to the promised land. My first week here in the Golden State, and I bought this bad boy, and it's been my pandemic project. After all, you gotta have plans for Friday night when Newsom closes down every establishment in town. Safety first, kids. Make sure you put on that lap belt so you don't fly out when you get obliterated to smithereens. After all, no airbags. That way you can burn down with your truck in your final moments. Less mess to clean to boot. More eco-friendly, man. I'm sure we're on the same page here. This truck's still got a couple issues. No tailgate. May have noticed that if you're keeping your eyes peeled. The right turn signal doesn't work. I'll be impressed if you pick that one up. As seen earlier, the windows are a little jank, but they do go all the way up. And clearly, someone must have left this bad boy unattended in the San Francisco Tenderloin for 10 minutes. Can't be doing that in the city. No, no, no. Apparently the truck as a whole wasn't worth stealing, but the badges and speakers were. Priorities, man. Though in my book, driving without tunes, that's capital punishment. And don't worry, there's no cat to steal. Not until 1975, if I'm not mistaken. I'll be impressed if someone wants to steal this hunk of metal that one may consider an exhaust, but maybe in a faraway land. But I'm not going to take any chances. It's one's responsibility to protect their property, and I intend to do that when I can. After all, we all know that the police don't got time to help us out these days. They got bigger fish to fry, so I hear. Hands down, favorite feature. Not the frame, not the size, not the color, definitely not the wheels. Check it. Oh, that's right. The good old front hinged hood won't be blowing off cruising down the Lawrence Expressway in high gear, doing 45 with a light load. Open up the windows and you got a classic 445 air conditioning system. 4 windows open at 45 miles per hour in 4th gear. Not 5th, 4th. Can't be letting that problem fly for much longer if we want any chance of driving out to the desert in under a day. But unfortunately, spinal tap methodology cannot apply to here, only to the lugs. Contrary to popular belief, the top speed of this truck is not 45 miles per hour. I think I made it all the way up to 50 once. Hard to say. When you're driving a death trap like this, it's like a bat out of hell. Eyes on the road. Maybe one day I'll even make it all the way to the front of the line of the DMV and get the infamous VIN inspection done. Maybe. You can see right here, it goes all the way up to 100. The proof's right in the pudding. Would a Japanese engineer really put numbers on a speedometer if you can't use them? Who knows? This is America, where ethics don't apply and you can do whatever you want. Especially when dealing with freedom units. Mazda had some high tech going on in the early 70s. Overhead cam. Not dual, not single, even though there's an S right there. Overhead cam. No VTEC. Bought the wrong-sided carburetor. All you gotta do is MacGyver it, whatever works. And if you're burning oil, just slap in some motorcycle oil. All your problems will be solved. It'll run good as new. And that's my truck. Like it or not, this thing's gonna get used. It might even get abused. And it's most definitely gonna get restored. I look forward to having more adventures with you. Cheers.